And hello and welcome. My name is Martin, and today we're actually going to be doing something a little different. We're going to be cleaning up some of our project a little bit, making it a little bit easier and more accessible. At this point, I have created a world that is somewhat expansive. There's water, there's mountains, there's a cave system. I have a temple up there, and I have quite a few things going on with lights and different types of meshes and things down here at the bottom. So I have quite a few different elements and things that I've added to this that are unique. And at this point, if I look inside my world outliner over here, I'll see that I have up to 400 and almost 500 different actors that are out there in the world, and that's prior to me putting in, any of my forest. So at this point, what I want to do is I want to create a strategy for figuring out how I'm going to organize my project. So then that way things make sense and they're accessible to me in a way that makes things useful instead of me having to go literally and clicking on something and then figuring out where that is. And then having whatever is close by to it so totally, let's say, way down here that it doesn't make any sense to be able to use this functionally. Let's take a look at a few things that we could do as far as like grouping things. So one way that you could group things would be as an area. So I could look at this and say that this is an area, right? And that inside this area, certain things are going to happen and certain gameplay is going to take place. We could look at the cave system that I'm creating over here as another area. Oops, too fast. So all of these rocks that have been used to create the cave, and then the different things that will be inside the cave, such as the crystals and stuff that I'm making and glowing, and anything that will be part of that. So the post-processing volume and whatnot. So that would be another area. So let's say that would be another major folder. And then I have this temple complex thing that I'm creating that's up here at the top with the spiraling staircase and like a way to be able to navigate from the lower level, which is the cave, into the upper level, which is the temple, right? So I could look at that as 3 separate areas or 4 separate areas, and then I include what would be considered the landscape and all the foliage that will be associated with that and any rocks or enemies that I put in that area, correct? Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 areas. So from that, what I want to do is I want to create 4 major folders. So what I can do is I can come over here to the side inside the world outliner and what I want to do is come over here to the top right hand corner and there is a little icon that says create a folder. So let's go to that. So we've created a folder. Let's see. Let's go ahead and call this area 1. Oops, area 1. Starting area. Okay. Now, notice that these things do have a hierarchy. There are and should already be a couple of pre-existing folders. Whether you've chosen to use them or not until this point, that's totally not an issue. We'll just create and organize them now. So we have that first area 1 starting point. Then what I'm going to do is going back to the top folder, the hierarchy folder, the main folder, first person example map, which is everything that is part of your first person BP maps. So everything that is associated with this level, the first person example map, is what's going to be in these folders, and you're going to be able to organize them that way, right? So think that this is the map, this is the world that you're in, and then each one of these folders are going to be designed to keep elements that are part of certain areas together. So again, I'm going to go to the top folder, I'm going to click new folder, I'm going to call this one, let's say cave, or we'll call it area 2 cave. Okay. All right. So we have area 2 cave. What do we have in there? Okay. Interesting. Whatever I had selected at the time when I made that folder got dropped into that folder, so I'm going to have to go see what that is. So it does look like something that's in Area 1, so that's fine. Area 2 doesn't have anything in it, so that's why it has the eyeball that's closed the second we put something in there. So let's find, let's say, one of these rocks, and I'm going to right-click here, and I should have a Move To tool down here at the bottom. And then what I'm going to say is go into, and notice that it only gives me the folders. So I'm going to type in, or I'm going to click on Area 2 Cave. So now that is inside the Area 2 Cave, and if I come up here to the top, I'll see now that the Area 2 Cave has an eyeball next to it, meaning that, not that it's invisible, well, yes, we could say we could use that as visibility so that we can actually knock those layers out if we wanted to, but that there is also actually something inside the folder. Otherwise, the eyeball would be closed like that. Okay. So we'll create our next folder. So I'm going to go up to first person example map again. I'm going to create the next folder. This one I'm going to say is going to be Area 2 or Area 3 Temple. All right. And then I'm going to go back up to the top, and I'm going to click again, and I'm going to say Area 4 outside. Outside. And you know what? It just hit me. If we are going to have something, let's say in the ocean level or in the area where you're going to be underwater, that could be another area. So let's go ahead and create another folder for that. And let's say Area 5 underwater. All right, so we now have our main areas. They are named something that will be very easy for everybody to find. So if anybody has to end up working on your project, they don't have to look at it and go, oh my goodness, this is terrible, I can't find anything. Nope, they'll just be able to go, okay, I want to see just the stuff that's in Area 1. And then they can knock everything else out and they can work on just that area. They want to work on Area 2, they'll open up stuff that's part of Area 2 and close things that are in Area 1. So you get the idea how that's going to work, okay? The other major thing would be to start moving things and creating subfolders, because you can create a folder inside of a folder. So if I look, let's say, there, inside of Arena Geometry, there is one that says Arena and another one that says Cubes, and these are folders that are inside of folders. So I'll show you now how to create something like that, but let's figure out some stuff to put in there first. So if I'm going to be dealing with Area 1, which is this area right here, this is what I've designated as my starting area. If I look in my starting area, let's see what I've already selected that's in there. And I'm moving way too fast. Let's go a little bit slower. Too slow. It appears that it's one of the lights, or no. Okay, it's the hole for the recessed light that I made. All right, so in this arena area, obviously there's going to be subdivisions. I could say, you know, outside opening area, and that would encompass everything that's the lights. Then I would have like a subfolder, maybe that would be for the garden, maybe another subfolder for the car and all the lights that are part of the car. Now the lights are also another interesting thing, because you may want to quote unquote automate them for daylight or for night. So maybe at some point you create a cycle where the sun goes up and the sun goes down, and you've automated that through, let's say, cinematics, and you're running that in the background, and you want the lights to react to that. So, you know, normally what happens, lights have sensors, and those sensors would go off. So as soon as the sun is up past a certain height, or there's a certain amount of light, let's say, in the room, you could program those lights to turn off. So if you wanted to have easy access to them, it would make sense to put this, say, all the lights all together, even though they're all part of the lamp. So maybe I'll have a folder for lamps, and then inside the lamp folder, I'll have a subfolder for the lights that are attached to those lamps. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to select the first couple of lamps, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the lamps themselves, since those are going to be in one folder. Okay, and to do the selection, the multiple selection, I'm holding Shift as I move around. So every time I want to select an object, I hold Shift and I click on it. Alright, so now I have all the lamps selected. What I can do is I can right click, I'll scroll down to the very bottom, and you'll see that it gives me the option to then move this into a certain folder. Let's say I'm going to put it into starting area 1, and inside starting area 1, since that's up at the very top because I called it area 1, now that all those are selected, I should be able to right click, say move to, create new folder. It's inside the same folder, so it made, because these were already in there, it put it in there. You can see that it's this is the main folder, then this is the folder inside that folder, and then we have this new one. So let's call this one lamps or street lights. That would make more sense. Okay. Fantastic. So now we can collapse that and we don't have this giant list of stuff that's going down. Alright, so now let's do the same thing but for the lights themselves. So let's get in there and I'm going to select the first one, which will then deselect all the other things that I had because I wasn't holding Shift. And I'm going to now grab both of the lights. And that is really tough to see if I got them both. So I've got the one, holding Shift, I have the other one, and I guess I can scroll up and down and I can see that I do have two things selected. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Holding Shift, grab the first light, hold Shift, grab the light below, hold Shift, grab the next light, hold Shift. I'm not going to keep saying it, I'm just going to do it. Now what I am doing that's kind of helping me out a little bit is I'm grabbing the point light first. Since it doesn't create any rays of light, I know that I've got it, and then I'm grabbing the other light. I'm grabbing the spotlight. Okay, cool. So that's the last one. And now we get to see all those lights. And same thing, we're going to right click on one of them. We're going to go to the last option at the bottom. We're going to say that we want this in Street Arena, or in Arena 1 starting area. We're going to move them in there. We're going to see that we have all of them together. Now, since they're all in one place, what I can do is I can just grab, let's say, just the point lights since I see them there. So what I did was I clicked on the first one, I held Shift down, and then I clicked on the last one. And now these I can put all together and say that, you know, let's put these in a folder. So I'm going to right click, go to Move To, Create New Folder, and let's call these the, what they are, let's call them point lights. Or you can call them sodium, so maybe I'll call them sod. And I'll just call them S point lights. Okay, I'm not liking the way that looks. Let's call it S underscore point light. Okay, so now I know it's the sodium light and it's the point lights. Okay, we'll do the same thing for the other ones. We'll go back to Arena 1. There are the spotlights. We'll hold Shift, we'll right click on those, we'll go down to the bottom, Move To, Create New Folder, and this time we'll call them S underscore spot lights. Okay. So the nice thing about, let's say, something like that is, okay, we look up, it's daylight. We really don't need these lights while we're working or while we're looking at the area. While we're trying to figure out how it's going to look, we can hit that, we can knock them out. We can knock out whole sections of things. So if we wanted to see what our area looked like without the street lights, maybe we decide later that we don't want to use them. We want to replace them with another post or something like that. We have them very easy to get to. Okay. Another way to do this, let's say the cars, right? So I have a couple of things that are happening with these cars. I have just the cars, and then I have this one car that I have a lot of lights on, right? So maybe what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder for the cars inside of area 1. So I'm going to go back to my area 1. I'm going to create a folder, and let's call this one cars. Okay, and then I'm going to select each one of the cars. Okay, and I'm going to again right click, move to, it's going to be area 1, and area 1 now has a cars folder. Scroll back up to the top. Oops, somehow cars. Okay, this is good. So what we need to do is we need to take area 1 outside of cars. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab area 1 and I'm going to drag it up to the very top of the folder, and that's going to remove it from the from being inside of another folder. So what I did was I took it from the cars folder, which I'd created, and area 1 had gone inside of the cars folder, and I grabbed area 1 now and moved it out of the cars folder by taking it up a level. So now I have my cars, and cars now is out there by itself. So now I want to grab cars and I want to stick that one inside of area 1. So now if I close area 1, if I open it, I will now see that I have my cars folder, and if I do something like this, I can just remove the cars if I want to. Okay, now inside the cars folder, I do have this vehicle right here, which is going to be the pickup. So I'm going to create another folder. So let's say create folder, and let's call this yellow pickup. Okay, and now I'm going to grab the lights, all the lights that I created for this. So I'm going to grab the first light, I'm going to hold shift, grab the next light, let's grab this light, the interior light, 2 lights in the front, and I also have directional lights that I use for this. See, this is why stuff like this is important, because if all this stuff is in one folder, if I come in later and I'm working on this, I know that these lights are there. I may not realize, I mean, at some point it might hit me that they're there, but when you look at the icons, see how the icons look very similar. The only difference is that one has a ray that's coming out of it, and the other one is sort of like a yellow color. So I guess you could tell, but if I was just walking around the car and I didn't know that the other light was there and I was just being quick, I wouldn't know to do anything with that because I didn't know that it was in that folder. But now that I have them selected, okay, now that I have them selected, I know that it's part of that pickup, that it's there. So same thing, we're going to right click, we're going to say move to yellow pickup, since we already had that folder created. If I close that, you now see that I have the yellow pickup, and if I get rid of the yellow pickup, I should theoretically get rid of everything that, or not see anything that was part of that. So let's click somewhere else, and let's go back to yellow pickup. So this would have been in area 1, cars, yellow pickup, boom, cars back with all its pieces, right? So you can see how this is very useful, right? So I waited a while before I showed you how to do this, so then that way you would be forced to do folders and, you know, not struggle trying to figure out what to stick in those folders, because it makes more sense to do it this way, where you have quite a few icons and things or meshes that are out there on the floor, and then you decide how you're going to want to do this. So like, I mean, even with the pickup, I mean, I could go a step further, right? Because right now, sorry, autosave. Okay, because right now everything is there with the pickup. Maybe I do something like I put all the lights in another folder, right? So it seems ridiculous to have folder inside of folders inside of folders inside of folders, but trust me, when you are looking for something, it makes all the difference in the world, because you find one thing that leads you to the next thing that leads you to the next thing, and then you have what you're looking for, and you didn't have to search a lot, right? So again, I could select yellow pickup. I'm going to hit the folder. And that put it a level above. So it did the other thing. It stuck us. Let's undo that. Okay. Let's be inside of. Let's be here. Let's be on the under. It looks like it always does it a level above. Okay. So let's make this lights. And we'll grab the rest of these. Now what I'm going to do is I should be able to hit Control. And what that did was allow me to skip over. So I have a big area right here of things that I want. So I'm going to hold Shift. I want to skip the pickup because I don't, obviously that's not a light. And then I'm going to hold Control to go over and grab the other two. Now with all those selected, I might just be able to drag this, yes, into the lights folder. And now I have the pickup. I have the lights for the pickup. So I can turn the lights off without turning the pickup off. Right? So, and it makes it very easy. I can just go to that one folder and turn it on and off, and not have to worry about, you know, selecting everything. No, it's just one button now. Okay, so with that, go ahead and start organizing your world outliner. You can imagine I have quite a bit of work to get mine in order, but you can see that it actually goes pretty fast once you have the major selections, and once you start creating folders and deciding where things are going to go. So for me, I could see another, you know, I could see inside of area 1, this being a little sub area. So once I have, let's say, all the things that would have been outside the house, maybe I create another folder. So I'm going to go cars, because it always goes one folder above when you add. So I don't know why I did that. That's fine. Let's stick this back inside area 1. Let's create and name this folder. So let's call this outside house. Okay. So now I have just the cars that are in there. And let's get the lamps in there. So street lights would have been outside house. All of those would have been part of the street lights. Let's put those inside street lights. And let's actually make a folder for these. And let's call these lamps. Oops. Alright, so I have all my lamps on one. I can get rid of the lamps if I want. I can experiment with the 2 different kinds of lights that I have. I can go to my cars. I can make them all vanish. I can go to the yellow car. I can just turn its lights on and off. Okay. So yeah, so pretty much that's the idea. You've seen all the things as far as moving folders inside of folders, creating new folders, grabbing things. You can literally drag them in there, or you can right click on the bottom, say move to, and then pick any folder that you want. We've shown you how to select things, how to skip over things, how to make large selections, how to pick just an individual thing and then move it. So go ahead and organize, make it make sense for the areas that you're working in. So then that way, if anybody else had to come in after your project, they're not seeing something like this. I mean, that's a nightmare. This is much more organized. I know exactly where everything is. Okay, so hope you enjoyed the video. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.